It is still the conversation, and thank you for staying tuned. Like we told you earlier, it is International Day of the Boy Child, and our topic today is one that is really, really important. It is building up self-esteem in boys, and in a world where traditional expectations and modern realities clash. Boys are taught not to express their emotions. A boy cannot cry, you are a man, she be okunrin, and all those kind of things that we have, you know. But again, how important is it for us to build up the self-esteem of our boys? Joining us on the conversation today is Mercy George Igbafe. She is the Executive Director, Lenta Foundation, and also Sheun Adewi, IT expert and team member, Lenta Foundation. You're welcome.
Thank you so much for having us.
All right, now we're talking about building self-esteem in boys. I talked about how societal pressure, culture, tradition puts a lot of pressure. So I want us to first of all talk about what really is self-esteem, because sometimes we just speak the English. We don't understand what it is. So what is self-esteem, and how much, I don't know if I should use the word damage, has our culture, tradition and society put?
I like the way you're starting. What is self-esteem? First, self-esteem is knowing who you are. To even know that you can esteem yourself in yourself. It sounds like I just want to make it as simple as possible. You must know who you are to even know that you have self-esteem. And that's where it really stems from. And how you're being spoken to. Your internal infrastructure, your mental space. What do you see? What do you consume? Using your 5 senses to really discover who you are. Your family structure, your dynamics. And I like the way you started. Our societal pressure has created a lot of problems, and it's not their fault. Parental dysfunction in family, not knowing how to speak. You call a child Olori Buruku. Whose fault is it? Okay, so these are some of the foundation that rob our children. In school, you're bullied, you're intimidated, you lose who you are, your essence. And I think it was Pastor Chrisokote that for the first time in my life I ever heard the word self-esteem. It's a mental disorder. It's a disassociated mental disorder that we find in ourselves. But it's more prevalent with women because the real us, like now you see I have a bald, no earring. I'm very assertive, I'm very confident in myself. For me to do this is people tell me you're very brave. I know. But not many people can try it. We hide behind the mask of makeup to give us a different, the way he explained it was, you take a picture, based on the mask that you're putting in your face, that's what you hang in your wall. But when you bring the wall down, you remove the makeup, you look in yourself in the mirror, you can't recognize who you are. That's why Oxford University came up with that study with intense research on a mental disassociation that is going on with our generation. So back into the boy child, it's a real prevalent concern where 75% of an African boy is living under $2. Where do you build a self-confidence from? So these are some of the underlying factors that really rob the essence of who you are, your self-esteem, your identification, what associates you as a human being. So to that extent, I will just leave it at that in terms of if you know who you are, you know you have self-esteem, you know you have the confidence to stand your shoulders up, how you comport yourself, how you speak, you know, how you dress. They all make up the formation of who you are as an individual. And it's even more for a boy child. It's not by being unnecessarily aggressive or being passive aggressive or being unnecessarily volatile in relationship and becoming so abusive. All of that stems from our mindset, environment, how we're raised, and they become a fundamental problem for the boy child.
Right, Sean, let's begin from some of the things that Mercy said earlier. And I like the fact that you are a man and you're probably also a father.
Yeah.
So let's go back to the home where all of these things, started from. So let's again look at parenting. When we say parenting, now we're not saying a mother or a father. parenting should actually be both parents. And so what are we expected to do when raising these children as parents, not as a mother or a father? Because sometimes, again, you have issues around correction. Perhaps when a father wants to correct a child and the mother says, that kind of correction is too harsh, or a mother wants to correct a child and the father says, don't ever try that with my child. So how do we begin to be intentional as parents and not as a mother or a father?
All right, thank you so very much. To begin with, we should understand the fact that a color does not constitute a rainbow. So to that effect, bringing up a child is not just, one person, the father, the mother, all alone. So this is combined effort. However, if we must bring up a child in a way it will be, valuable for us all, we must be deliberate in our action. For example, there is this concept that when you spare the rod,
you spoil the child.
You spoil the child. So this, in context, is not about beating, actually. It's all about being deliberate, about taking to action, doing the right thing at the right time, instilling value into them. For example, one of the things that I believe strongly to bring up a child in a proper way is to instill confidence in them. And this confidence is not about being arrogant or being, in quotes, a bully one to your mates outside. Because growing up as a child, I understand the fact that there's this value my own father taught me, or my parents. You don't go out there and say somebody is not mentally balanced. That very day, you will look for the remaining one. Because, number one, if either you say it, he hears it, or people around who understand the fact that, say it, don't worry, we're going to tell your dad. So we were built up not to ever abuse, insult. Do you understand? So in no time, we became...
It was part of you.
It was part of us. And we grew up to understand the fact that you must value other people.
Right.
The children we play together, you must not be in the position where you will be a harmful fellow to other person.
Exactly.
Right. So now, coming back to the parent, it is what you blow into the child that you get outside.
So in other words, you cannot give what you don't have.
You can't. As parents, you must first of all know the value that you want to imbibe into the children.
Right.
And you must collectively agree to instill that discipline to the kids.
Right. Sorry, Joy. Okay, before, I know you want to add, but as I mean, in adding to what he said, I'm still going back to issues around being intentional as parents. And so there are times that, yes, as parents, you might not even agree. So how best can you ensure that when dealing with the children, you maintain a common front? And then perhaps later you go and sort it out yourselves. So how do we deal with that situation?
Okay, for parents now, in their role in raising children, I am sure we're all guilty at some point where we, instead of correcting the child publicly as a union, and resolving our differences behind, we yell at each other in the process of the children, and you embolden the child. I know this has affected, like my daughter, for instance. I've seen her just that dynamic, so I was very intentional not to make sure that happens and to correct the impression immediately. So as a mother, as a wife, oftentimes it's the women that speak up because men were not wired. I believe they are not wired in terms of training children. That's not our system. It's the women that take care of children. Do you get? So, and when they want to lash or correct a child, it's always to the extreme. So because they don't understand what it means to manage that emotion, to be able to sit a child down, or being an intentional father, check how many men go to their children's PTA. That's the statistic that should show you there, that they are not readily, and it's not their fault. They have to do business and all of that. So how do you manage such situation as a wife? I think swallow your tongue. Swallow it.
Bridle it.
Bridle it. Calm yourself down. Just be calming down. So in our situation, don't be so quick to react. We are very quick to react because we are 24/7 with the children.
Yeah.
You don't know the journey we have taken with these children to get to this point. And you want to exact what you have watched on TV or you've seen your friends do and you think is going to work. Families are different.
True.
Dynamics are different. Orientations are different. Exposure is different. So it's because his father understood the value of, my father didn't train me, don't abuse a child. It's just not in my DNA to say, I can't even say to my child, I can't. It's not in me as a person, not because my father raised me right or my mother raised me right. So, but that exposure, I've transferred it to my children. And I was saying to God, I said, I don't know how you made me do it, that I put things in the fridge. My children will never go there and take it.
Without asking.
It's just not, it's not because I did anything right. I just made the foundation and they've layered on it. Because from age 2, I wanted the children to know the 4 principal keywords. Thank you, excuse me, please. So it was something that I wanted to weave into their destiny so that way you know what accountability looks like. And back to the conversation in terms of raising self-confidence for the boy child, especially now with societal pressure, social media, and the advent of the ills that we have. Do you know that 56% of our boys in Nigeria are prone to go to crime? 75% of an African boy or African boy child lives under $2.
Dang.
So if you're from that kind of family dynamics, which kind of grammar do you want to speak to that kind of child? For him, mentally, psychologically, he has wakad maybe 30 minutes to school, trekked probably another 30, that's 1 hour. That boy mentally is already exhausted. So anything you throw at him is going to naturally, like a defense mechanism, throw it back at you. So if you don't understand the terrain where you live in and know that we need to do differently in raising these boys, start exposing them to the right conversation, like tech skill. Yesterday we had a beautiful meeting with District 1, an award-winning district in Lagos State, thanks to the work they are doing there. We're about to go into partnership with the Tech Up Boys project I came here to talk about. And the kind of work they've done there just make this so easy for us to be able to layer on. So it's important to start to say, okay, what can we do for the boy child? Living averagely $2 cannot sustain. How much is $2? Even fuel is not even $2. How much can carry you from one point to another point? Uber that we paid from Wema Board to Ogba is almost 3,000. Right. So how much is $2 really in the scheme of things on a day for a boy child? So if we have to build confidence, it's time to start having those pertinent questions, pertinent conversation. What can we start to expose you to? And thank God to Lagos State that they're doing quite a lot of work in terms of tertiary work, exposing the boys, creating centers where they can learn other skills to be economically viable. And that's why Lento Foundation is so particular that this Tech-Up project that we are doing for the boy child, it's a conversation that should have started several years ago. Because in the next 15 years, what we don't know, we're not going to have a lot of men in position of leadership. More women are going to school, exposing themselves to education. More women are taking up leadership role. I'm a woman and I'm proud of that. And I celebrate it. But the boy child is still going to come and marry that woman. And is going to become an abusive husband. Because financially is incapable. He cannot take care of a home. He doesn't have the confidence to be able to speak to a woman. And you are now the breadwinner, which is the reality that we are currently living now. More women are breadwinners to their family. And as a result, he has made the men less than who they are. Have you not robbed them of their self-confidence or self-esteem? So if a man that does not have self-esteem right now in his home, how is he going to raise the boy that is raising now? So can you see the real problem that we are facing is a major vicious circle.
Okay. I'll still go back to parenting now. What are some of the practical mistakes that parents are making that are enabling or that are affecting the boy child when we're talking about self-esteem, or that has resulted to low self-esteem in children? For instance, if let me use my son as an example now. when you scold him, he cries a lot. And well, I know that we allow our boys to cry, but at some point I'm a little worried that this one thing you're always crying. This one thing you're always crying. But I don't react. But sometimes I just think about it. That this cry is too much. Don't be too soft, Abby.
It's a generation of mental health. They are the one that are complaining mental health.
So what are the practical steps that parents are making that are also, you know, tampering with the self-esteem of our boy child?
All right, thank you so very much. First and foremost, I want you to understand the fact that when they are given birth to, there is somebody they are more closer to, which is their mother. Okay? And get to understand the fact that women are more emotional. And in no time, hold on, in no time, in no time, they get to want to pick from there. Most of our boys does that. So some boys, you could see them being a little bit emotional. So there is no big, it's not a crime. Some pick quickly from their mother. However, during their development age, one of the things that I believe strongly we should do more as a father is to, you know, time to time, to talk to our male child. Because in the recent, men are more logical. So how do we raise more men? Is when we, the father, are not missing out of the show. So one of the mistakes, based on this now, one of the mistakes parents make, you know, and that affect the children's confidence, the male child confidence. Number one, the family that are constantly fighting. Now, let me give you a practical example. I've seen situation, heard of situation where the father is beating the mother. What do you think will happen to the children?
They'll take sides.
So some of them are incapacitated. They can't support the father, they can't support the mother. But at that time, they are mentally, you know, attacked. And what can they do? You know, they surrender. Most of them, the worst they can resort to is to cry.
Yeah.
You get it? Okay, you want to say something?
Yes, I want to say, you know, when we grew up, we had a communal living. Children were street smart. Oh, you can't intimidate children that time, right? But what we have done, this generation of ours, is overly protect the children.
Right.
Built a fence.
You've created a fence. They
You
don't
allow
even
them
know
to
their
go out.
cousins. Yes, I understand why a lot of parents in this generation are taking mitigation, because many of us were abused by relatives. Because, you know, many fathers, they carry cousins from this family, that family,
All
everybody
together.
would be in the house. There was a lot of abuse that was going on. So we have now grown up and said,
It shouldn't
me,
happen
my
to-
husband, and my children. But the defect now is the children are not street smart. We now have helps that does every single thing. So, and we now, especially for parents, mothers, they will end up engaging the girl child
And leave out the boy
wash
child.
the plates, clean the house. The boy child is on PSP, playing game, binging on social media. They are not building mental wellness. They don't have the competence to be able to find themselves. It's this generation that is crying mental health. They are so isolated that is affected their mental wellness, affected their ability to engage. I test you today, and I challenge any parent that is watching. Watch your children. When they sit together, they are not talking to each other, but they are talking to people on social media, on TikTok, Instagram, every other social media, but they are not talking to their siblings. So that ability to pour out, the outlet, to have conversation, is not there. Because it's a driver that picks up your child from school, it's your house help that makes the food. So where are you in the scheme of things? Then when you now come, instead of you to have that conversation, which is very crucial, a family that is very dysfunctional. I grew up in one, so I understand what it means that growing up in a very dysfunctional family system, the effect it has on you,
Is
the
huge.
scars that it leaves with you are lifetime that you cannot trade. So for me, especially the boy child, it's time we start to have conversation of what really matters. What is their space selling them? And the greatest gateway that has infiltrated the mind of the boy child is their ears, their eyes, and what they are taking in. And that is done from the device
Right.
that they carry day in, day out, and their neck is like this, and they are not interacting.
Right.
We never had device, so we know what it means to play suwe.
Yes, we
We
played
know
in
what
the
it-
sand.
we know what
You know what it means to play 10-10.
Yeah.
You know what it
We
means
were
to
always
join
outside.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what it means to run around the street?
Yeah.
Even naked, and you don't care.
And then you
but you
just-
can't
your
even
tires,
do that
right.
because you come back from school, you are inside the house, you're on top of computer, you're on top of TV, you're not interacting. We need to let this child go out, interact. We can't be too busy to raise children. All the money you're looking for, you now use it to correct the child's mental wellness.
At the end of the day.
Which I see as one of the major things parents need to do. I'm not seeing anything bad to limit the time or the access our children have to some of these devices. Some of us grew up rather. We don't have access to all this. And yet we have the best social
Education.
time.
Yeah. Right.
Do you get? We have the best social time. That's when we go schools, we have friends to friends and all that, and we communicate. And just like she said, you can go to a house where all the family are sitting down in the sitting room and nobody is talking to each other, but everybody is socializing. With who?
Other
Somebody
strangers.
outside it. So if we can take drastic measure on the access we give to our young ones to this social media or these devices, I did something of that nature too.
Right, Mercy. Because again, we've dwelt so much on the home, and it's very important that all of these things are properly catered to from the home. But let's stretch it a bit to the schools.
Yes.
How intentional? Because I always say parenting is intentional.
Yeah.
So how intentional should parents be when it comes to the kind of schools they also send their children to? Because that again is key.
Yes.
You need to also know the kind of teachers that your children interact with. If you have the if your children are coming from the home where you're not allowed to say bad words or use bad words, my children are 5. But then if you say something, they'll quickly tell me, but mommy, that's a bad word. And sometimes I say, but I'm the one that told you is a bad word. So I would not have used a bad word. So I said, no, that's not a bad word. And I'll try to explain. So how important is it really to also ensure that the schools they go to are in alignment with your beliefs, your, maybe not entirely your culture, but at least the gap isn't too much from what you're preaching or what you're teaching to your child?
So it still comes back to parents and the school. Many parents put children in school, they don't attend PTA, and you expect magic. Even if you put that child in a Christian school,
It's a school.
it's a school, and they are going to interact. And God help you that you don't have an open door policy for conversation with your children. You're already in trouble.
Right. Because they will keep things away from you.
They will hide it. They will not have conversation with you. So for instance, my daughter, I have a WhatsApp phone. The WhatsApp is on our own device, but it's on my system. So I see the conversation they're having. I saw they created a group and they were say BITA. I said, who?
What is the meaning?
No, I said, I'm going to remove her from this group. How you call yourself is who you are. I had to tell them, and they just jumped in and say, apologies. Immediately they changed it. The point is, they don't know. You don't know what you don't know until you're appointed. The purpose of school is to learn. But our schooling system, our training module is cramming. 2 times 1, 2. I always say 2 times 2, 4. It's not a critical thinking system where you allow children to break things down, rebuild it, and now reconstruct. So that is why it's so important as a parent, which you have to be intentional, involved in the children academics, number 1. Number 2, make sure you are interacting with your teacher, your children's teachers.
Right.
My daughter now is coming by public transport. My husband said, no, I'm 50 years old. No, she comes home. Before now, we come home by ourselves. I know the insecurity is affecting, but she comes home. Teacher, please call me. when she's leaving class.
So that I can monitor
The movement.
Right.
So I know where she is at every junction. So that if it's beyond time, I can be. But it's never beyond time. The point is, if you don't try, how would you know? Must you go and pick the children every time? Create an environment where the children can interact. And that's why I really love what we're about to do with District 1. We're doing it with all the schools, the 41 senior secondary school for SS2. We're training those children tech skills. They are already savvy with using mobile phone. How about know how to use this mobile phone to make money?
Right.
So that at least the digital footprint that you are leaving behind, it's not just dancing and twerking. These children are now so desperate for clickbait, for followers on Instagram, on TikTok, that they don't care what they do. You will see little children coming up, bearing themselves open because of a 5,000 naira challenge on TikTok. And they don't understand somebody has munched it and they are going to share it before you know the video is viral. There's a child that was shared her pictures of private on public, and she went and committed suicide. They don't have the mental capacity that we have because they don't have that social interaction that they do. And the schooling system, I can't blame them. You cannot give what you don't have. Because a schooling system that did not train, did not learn the way of the Chinese. Did you see the Chinese children? They are building things, they are coming up with ideas, they are developing products that people are going to buy. How many of our children are doing that? Then you say they are the world economic power. Why? Because they know that investing in the human capacity, investing in their education, not just learning my daughter was telling me anatomy of a butterfly. What are you going to do with it? So at the end of the day, they need to start learning how to build stuff. And that's why this collaboration with Lagos State, PSSDC, and District 1 to train the entire district. We are going across the district on Tech Up Boys data analytics skills is so pertinent. I'm so passionate about it because this is the future. Right. Once every business knows that they use data, once they know there's capacity, because we're now not grappling with unemployment problem. We have a major brain drain in Africa because everybody has jackpot and nobody's jackpot dying. You know, so if you don't start to build the capacity in the young generation now, we are already sitting on a keg of ticking time bomb, and only God
knows when it will explode.
Exactly.
Right. Seun, very quickly, let's talk about, because again, I remember that issues around role models used to be very key. We used to look up to people that were role models, but at the moment, it looks like there's a shift. And even the people whom those children see as role models, if you take a look at their lifestyle, you're wondering, why is this person your role model?
What we have now are influencers.
Influencers. And they're not even influencing appropriately. So how do we begin to ensure that our boy child or our boy children go back to that space where they could look at, usually role model starts from, my role model is my father. But if you ask a child today, I'm not sure the father will be the first role model the person would, call. So how do we go back to that era? I'm sure it will still dovetail back to parenting. But how do we begin to make conscious efforts at ensuring that our boy children have role models that they can actually look at their lifestyle and at least want to, if not want to be like them, at least surpass them in their life journey?
Okay, thank you. Everything still boils down to parenting, actually. And I want to say that growing up at a certain age, I knew what I want to become, but I don't know how.
Right, but you knew that, okay,
this is what I want to.
This is what I want
to become. But how, I don't know. But as time goes by, attending program that could positively impact my life made me realize that if you intend to attain certain level of height in life, so what you need to do is move in the direction of people who carry that kind of positive influence. Okay? But yeah, we still have people of that in our nation, even beyond Nigeria.
Okay.
But the major problem is this, which you have said. We have well over 90% of these people who are influencers. Okay? No longer a role model. And who is a role model? A role model is somebody who have actually attain that height that you foresee yourself becoming. But now, I'll still go back to the impact that social media is playing in our, the children.
Lives.
Okay? Let's say even the adults, the content we are exposed to, the things that take most of our time is not something that add value.
That's the problem.
And until we understand the value that we, individuals, want to bring into our own life and to the society, we won't be able to go the direction that we can get it from. So therefore, to look into the mentorship,
Exactly.
and
Role model.
to look into that. I think one of the things we need to understand is this thing won't just come like that. So,
Right.
which is one of the things
That
we are
we're
out to do.
Exactly.
To
Provide
ensure that, see, one thing we should understand is every child has energy.
Huh. Unprecedented.
And where you channel the energy, the direction which you will channel the energy will determine the
What
end
you're going
results.
to.
Yes.
For example, I'll give you this example to illustrate what I've said now. I belong to a group of people. So this, my friend, usually coming with his son. And this son, if he comes in here now, within the next 5 minutes, he's going to jump all over these places, sincerely speaking. So everybody gets worried until one day somebody said, this guy is super hyper active. So it's not about beating. It's about harnessing the energy in him
Engaging his energy.
so that at the end of the day, he will get back home
You will sleep.
and sincerely speaking, it was done. The father was mentored in the direction which you can channel this energy. And it was super. So it's all about knowing the direction.
Right.
How to engage.
And
them.
how to harness it.
Yeah, to harness the energy.
So if I just add to the mentoring part, which is one of the key anchor of Tech Up Boys for Lento Foundation, we're not focused on teaching you. There's a lot of training out there. But you see, the offline mentoring is so critical, where they would now see a young boy that has built a business or a young man that has built a business in Nigeria
And
that
they
we
want to
say
model.
that is difficult and not online, but they are making impact because they are role model. The MD of Paystack is a good role model. Abi? The MD of Flutterwheel is a good role model. We have Piggy Vest. We have a lot of big
these are
startups.
young
We have Wakanao making a lot of impact. These are role models. But you see, because they are not active, feeding these young people their mind, and the people they see are the Bobrisky. And every boy child feel I have to dress like a girl. Are the James Brown. To what end are you going to carry that?
Right.
Do you understand? So because the role model themselves are doing a disservice to these young boys by not even being online to start engaging, we are going to them and pairing these boys with mentors that they can have conversation that they probably would not have with their parents,
right.
with their teachers, and be able to chart a career path for them that will become a catalyst in the
So
next
also
6 months,
put
1
them
year.
forward.
The reason is so role model now, I think, is gone into extinction. I don't even know whether people still talk about role model,
still use
but
the
people talk about mentorship. Mentorship can be a real game changer because you can go and pay a role model to become a role model. You can be watching someone,
From
a
afar.
role model to become a role model. But you see, mentoring is something you
They'll
have to
hold you by the
invest in.
hands.
It's an investment, both from the mentee and the mentor. And that's what Lento Foundation is really focused on trying to do.
All right, still talking about building up self-esteem in boys. Now, what are the practical steps that parents, can take to build up self-esteem in their boy child? How important is verbal affirmation?
I created a verbal affirmation for my children. I had to make them to start doing it. I say it every day to myself. I wish I knew it earlier, because what you say to yourself, it registers to your brain. The same way social media has created such a powerful force in their life that they wake up, the first thing they want to do is go on TikTok and let me start dancing and do vibration like TikTok. There's a video of one guy, there's no need to mention his name. He's over 40. He'll wear spandex. And he'll know, like, the wife will now be recording him and say, you're embarrassing your generation. Yeah, but the guy is doing it for clickbait because he needs attention on his page. But if his child does worse than what he has done, dressing in the wife clothes, all because you want clickbait, to what end is that? So how can that boy say my father is a role model when you are an embarrassment to that child, and he cannot see you as a role model? He's going to call Bobrisky that does it well because you are the father that want to dress like a woman. You're not even doing it well. Bobrisky has shown them that nobody does it well. I'm not saying he's the ideal role model, but I'm just saying that what we are consuming, what we say to our children is so powerful. You know, the Bible says, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. The more you say to yourself, the more he helps you. So I challenge. I created a very beautifully crafted affirmation. I'll try and publish it so that it can be available to parents to download. That I make sure that I say, I share it with friends. Every morning is something that we say. You can't say this to yourself, even when your spirit wants to go down. You remember who you are. You will remember where you're going, and it forces a bond. I did it in my former church. All the children had to remember, I have an excellent mind. The fact that you say it to yourself, whether you believe it or not, you have said it. Because we are used to saying negative things anyway, and they believe it. Oh, Lori, I mean, you are cursing the child, but you're not speaking life to that child, and you accept the child to build life. There's an anomaly there.
Right. So it's still riding on power of affirmatives and all of that. How also should we be intentional with how we correct our children? Because again, sometimes how we correct, how we reward hard work, how we also punish, or also practical steps at either building or killing the self-esteem of our children. So how important is it to also ensure that when they do well, we praise them, and we also knowingly or unknowingly do not encourage siblings rivalry? Because that's huge. I know how much that has also caused you know, rifts in families when you also compare and contrast children. So how much of an issue are those ones as well?
All right. First and foremost, we need to be deliberate when it comes to this. And, you know, like you said, to avoid rivalry amongst siblings. For example, if you have like 3 kids, how do you correct one
without referring to
this? Or with correcting one and probably not, you know, maybe another one did something of similar, and you tend to, you know, overlook. That might be looking like you're giving a preferential treatment. Okay? So how do we do that? For me, one of the strategies that I believe works, treat them equally.
Is it really possible?
Yeah, it is.
That is really possible.
That is where no.
So
that is
all this
that, no. Sincerely, that is when we are deliberate about it.
Okay, deliberate. I like the word.
No, sincerely, because in the first place, you own 3 of them. So why treating anyone differently?
But because they are not different.
They are not different.
Of course,
I mean, because they are different.
They are different.
Yes.
So you first be deliberate. Know that they have different character. So that is where you need to balance the treatment. They cannot. It's not possible for them to have the same manner.
Right.
Okay. For example, I have 3 boys, and I ensure that I don't treat them in such a way that one will feel so important and other will feel less important. So they both have the same, in the first place, all of them have the same access to me, and I talk to them same way. The only thing is I want the other one to know he has more responsibility. Because
I bet if we bring those 3 boys here, they will tell you differently.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
They will tell you differently.
They might.
My children told me differently.
They will tell you differently.
They might, because the way I see things might not be the way they see things.
Definitely.
Okay?
Most definitely.
However, that is where I always look not in their face, deep down inside their eyes to be able to give me the interpretation of whatever they feel sometimes. So that's where your deliberate action comes in.
I agree with you that we should be deliberate, but I know that sometimes parents...
In the real situation,
yes, we are also, we take sides.
It's
No,
not even
in the first place, why do you have to take
It's
sides?
natural.
It's not intentional.
It's
It's
natural.
So now, when we say...
So I like the, and just like she said, I like the fact that yes, we need to be intentional, we need to deliberate about it, and when you're doing certain things, you try also to flip back. When this person did same, what did I do? Because sometimes we tend to forget. As humans and as parents, because I deal with this issue a lot. I have 2 boys, and they are twins.
Oh.
They are not the same, but they hold me accountable. But mommy, when Taiwo did that, you did not react that way. And I'm like, okay, really? I'm sorry, because I can't remember. So sometimes, again, as humans, we also tend to forget some of these things. So it all boils down to being intentional and being deliberate.
But you need to give yourself credit, because if you have not taught them the value of speaking up, they won't tell you that you didn't treat Taiwo this way. So, you know, as parenting, we don't cut ourselves a lot of slack. We don't celebrate ourselves enough, even for the small that we do.
What we've done, right.
And you want to now compare your own dynamics with somebody else's dynamics. They're not the same. It's impossible.
We can't.
Yes, those 2 boys will always tell you, I think you love this one. My daughter told me that I think you love my little last born more than this. And because when she was small, I wanted her to learn accountability. Because she beats you doesn't mean you should beat her back. So she has gotten away with murder. In the process of saying, don't beat her back, she will always trigger her. And she's trying to observe restraint. She's frustrated because she can't react to her the way she wants to react.
Because mommy already said, don't do this.
Do you get what I'm saying? And it wasn't for me to give her license for her to do the kind of thing that she's doing to her. Do you get? It's an unintentional thing that we do. But even where you have done right, celebrate yourself. Because like for you, you have a situation where your children are talking to you.
Yes.
Do you understand? That they can come and speak to you about matters. My children will come and come, mommy, you love God so much. I see you. Mommy, thank you. This one, there's one that is always, even to the flip side, I'm concerned. She will tell you, mommy, thank you for the cup. Thank you for picking me. Thank you for this. Oh, I'm sorry. She sees that I'm a bit down. But the other one, she doesn't, but doesn't mean that she doesn't care.
Right.
Do you understand? So, and the other one that does, the act that doesn't care, feels because this one is always saying thank you. When she doesn't do, and feel because of that, I prefer her.
Yeah, so children are like
it's
that.
an emotional thing that you have to always leave room for conversation, for dialogue. And when you are doing well, please celebrate yourself, because parenting, it's not the work for the fainted heart. It's a lot of work, and the bulk of the work is on the mother. It's good that you are saying that you treat them on
Equally.
the same thing, because you are not always there. Ask your wife. She has just come back from the market.
No, I don't want to go. No, I don't want to go into that, because the truth is this. You talk about it now. You will know they are always on your nerves. So they will make you to react.
And they will test you.
And overreact sometimes. Except you are in full control.
And they know that sometimes they can get away with these things with mommy and daddy.
Daddy. However, talking about one of the reasons I felt they should be treated is they are equal before me. Okay? And also, how do we encourage them to be the best? Okay? One of the things that I believe we should do, let's celebrate small wins. Let's celebrate small wins. That does not also mean when they are not getting it right. Now, the Bible says, teach your children the way they should go. Now, let's take note of the word train. Training is not something you do once and for all.
It's a continuous.
It's a continuous thing, and it has its own processes. So if they don't get it right today, one of the things I do, I open room for conversation, correction, and encouragement, which is the best way to go.
Right. This will also lead me to my next question now. How does parents dealing with children's failure? Some parents don't know how to handle it when their child fails. And that also hampers their self-esteem.
It does.
Yeah, okay. Now, I have a little experience around that, okay? So far, so good, educationally excellent. But we always aim for the best, okay? So, below his class, one of them, I put a challenge. Okay, let's go ahead and do this examination. And he went there. And I discovered that before he went there, so we have a deal. You give me X, Y, Z, then I give you X, Y, Z. We do that, okay? It's just a way to encourage and then, you know, to also make him challenged, okay? So he felt he was going to bring the heaven down. Fine, no problem. So, and I knew he's quite good, really. So when he went there, he came back, out of about 8, he messed up with 2. So as a result, he couldn't tell me in time, and the mom, they couldn't tell me everything in time. And me, I was waiting for something probably lesser, really.
Wow.
But when he came and he was telling me, I did this, I did that, I said, well, that's good. It's just so that you can know where
you should concentrate. Right.
And then we talk and we talk and we talk and we talk and we talk. So he said, okay, don't worry, this next one. But what I'm trying to say is where he missed it, he was expecting probably
for you to flare up.
I'm going to, you know, go
But
on.
you took it well.
But for me,
And
all he needs at that time is an encouragement that, hey, come on, if you don't get it once, they see another chance. So how do we handle failure in our children? It's never to give up.
Right.
It's never to give up. I have a friend who have a child who is, you know, I won't call him a disadvantage. And you need to see how they take care of this young man. So the bottom line is we don't have to give up.
Right. We just need to continue to encourage because we need to go. Maybe
Last thing,
final words.
For the parent that has made mistake on dealing with failures, I'm one of them, and I had to learn. So let me speak to the parent that have failed in this area and what I did. My daughter, our results, I just saw results. She had a good result. But you know, because they do percentage, and by the percentage, I just focused on it, and said, oh, this result is not good. I messed her up for a week. So she now said, that really hurt me, mommy. And then I went back to the result and said, you did very well. But the point is, because there's an open door conversation, it made it easy for her to call me out.
Right.
Me, I'm not afraid for you to call me out.
Nobody, just to make amends.
Let's just make amends. And it's okay. Failure is not a bad thing.
It's part of life.
It's part of the process for you to get to the next stage.
Right.
We have to embrace failure. Even when you have failed as a mother, when you have failed as a teacher, when you have failed as a boy child. No, it does not define who you are. It's where you are going that ultimately really matters. So let's focus on the tomorrow, not today. The failure is not important. Just pick the lessons that you need to learn. And then take it up from there and move on. And that will help.
A wise man said, you fail only when you lose the lesson.
Right.
Because the lesson there should be a roadmap for you for the next step.
Right, valid point. All right, thank you so much, Mercy George Igbafe, for finding time to be with us on the program. We appreciate your thoughts here. And Sheun Adewi, thank you so much again for being here on the program this morning. Well, I guess this morning have talked about how to build up the self-confidence and self-esteem of our boy children, and also to realize that failure is not the end of a journey. It is only to spur you on towards, you know, the journey ahead. And please, parents, be intentional about you know, everything that you do, and it is okay to seek help when you cannot do it by yourself. We're not built, you know, to be excellent. Let's just talk to somebody and find help if you cannot do it all by yourself. We'll take a quick break. The conversation returns shortly.